Off top, I gotta ask. I've been wondering to myself, can a narcissist face reality? And I think we need to talk about something that most people have experienced, but people truly misunderstand it. Face reality means not argue with it, not manipulate it, not avoid it, but actually face it. Because if you ever loved one, if you ever loved a narcissist or dealt with a narcissist or maybe even questioned yourself, you know exactly what I'm speaking of. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You know, you know the feeling of looking at somebody and wondering, do they actually see what they're doing? Or do they live in a completely different world? A world where they always right, never wrong. They always the victim, and their actions and their feelings is always justified. No matter what. But the truth is, the conversation deeper than just them. It's more about human nature. A conversation about ego, conversation about identity, and a conversation about reality itself. Because reality is one place ego can't survive without honesty. And narcissism is like ego protection at its highest level. Not confidence, protection. Because I think most people misunderstand narcissists. They think narcissists love themselves. That's not ultimately true. Narcissists don't love themselves. They attempt and try to protect themselves. They protect their image. They protect a certain version of themselves that they need the world to believe. Because if their version collapses, they collapse with it. You see? Think about that. They build an identity, not always based on the truth, but based on survival, because maybe they was rejected, maybe they was abandoned, maybe they was humiliated, and maybe they were made to feel small. And instead of processing their pain, they built a level of armor. And that armor became their personality. So now they just avoid reality. They defend against it. Because reality threatens their character that they created. And this where it get dangerous, right? Because when somebody can't face reality, they don't just lie to other people, they start to lie to themselves and start to rewrite their reality, rewrite their history. Minimize those negative actions. Blame game. Blame everybody else. And justify not a small amount of things, everything. You understand? Because their ego can't afford to accept the truth. Because the truth creates too much accountability and too much responsibility and guilt. And with guilt, it's something that their identity was designed to avoid. You know? So they can face reality, but not comfortably. Realities usually come through a loss of relationship, loss of opportunities, loss of respect, loss of control. And nobody don't like to lose control, especially a narcissist. Because as long as the narcissist illusion is working, what reason do they have to change? Why would they question themselves with a false sense of being accepted? Reality has a way of collecting this debt, what you owe reality, sooner or later. The mask that you put up, it cracked. People stop believing. And you find yourself alone. And that's where it really get loud at. Because there's no audience. There's no validation. No one to blame. Just them. And the truth. You understand? That's this moment right here. What a lot of psychologists would call a narcissistic collapse. This when the identity that the narcissist built can no longer facilitate protection. When that supply they're looking for is no longer there. When that depression can show up. When anxiety could show up. When anger could show up. Because they no longer defending that image. They are dealing with confronting their emptiness. And at that point, two things can happen. The narcissist can face reality, or they can build a new illusion. Yeah. Because facing reality takes a certain things that's specific. Humility. Okay? You got to be able to accept that death to the ego. You got to be able to say, I was wrong. I hurt people. I'm not who I'm pretending to be. And not everybody is strong enough to do that. To meet yourself, looking in the mirror. Looking in the mirror and meeting yourself without the mask. But for the most part, people don't want to hear it's simply not just about the narcissist. Because everybody has an ego. Everybody. Remember what I said. Everybody has protected themselves or wanted to protect themselves. Everybody has avoided the truth at some point. Maybe not to the same degree, most definitely not to the same degree, but in the same spirit. And these things are uncomfortable. Truth is uncomfortable. The truth removes excuses. The truth removes illusions. The truth removes protection. But the truth also does other things. And the main thing is it creates freedom. Okay? But you can't grow while trying to protect a false version of yourself. Let me say that again. You cannot grow while trying to protect a false version of yourself. Growth gonna require honesty. Growth gonna require accountability. Growth gonna require self-confrontation. And this is why most people stay the same. Because that's a heavy level of accountability people can't accept. You understand? And it's not because people can't change. But they refuse to look in the mirror and see themselves for who they really are. Yeah. Because reality is a mirror. And if you don't like what you see, guess what you're going to do? Yeah. Become complacent. But the people who do face it, the people who do accept it, the people who own it, those are the people that evolve. Those are the people that grow. Those are the people who become powerful. And not in ego, but powerful in truth. Because real strength is not protecting your image. Real strength is confronting your reality. I know it's a little deep. I know. So can a narcissist face reality? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But they got to be willing to stop protecting their illusion and to start accepting their truth. And that requires courage, that requires strength. Because the hardest person, what I learned is the hardest person you'll ever face is yourself. It's you. Yeah. And that's the version that exists when nobody watching. When nobody watching, that's the version that exists. Can you face reality? That's my question to you. Your ego, your flaws, your truth. Because at the end of the day, it's not about pretending. It's always been about becoming. You follow me? Do you follow me? And becoming start with reality. Okay, fuck it.